So our next topic is the desired results. This is the fourth component or the element in the key elements for a proposal writing. So in this section, we will be talking about the different desired or unintended, the intended or unintended results of the project or the program that you would like to achieve. Maybe it's a short term or a long term. So the desired results, as I said earlier, that can be divided into three subcategories: outputs, outcomes, and impact. So what do we mean by all these three subcategories? Let's discuss them one by one. What are the outputs? Now, outputs are basically the direct results of your project. Usually, we put these in numbers. For example, if your proposal is about training on a particular issue, awareness training on a particular issue, and you are suggesting that in this program you will be training, for example, 50 individuals. So the output of your project will be 50 individuals trained. So normally they are described in terms of size, in terms of the scope of the products or the services delivered or produced by the program. So the number of workshops, let's say, and let's take another example. You are proposing that you will be arranging 10 awareness workshops or seminars on violence against women. So the output of this proposal will be arranging 10 seminars or workshops. It can also be like the workshops that you are conducting, so you can also divide them into number of hours, for example, or number of days, or number of months. So I remember we proposed a training where we specifically focused on two particular areas, and we proposed that we will select representatives from those areas and we will train them and raise their political awareness. Now the training for each individual was, our suggestion was that they will go through 3 different themes, and each theme will comprise of 3 days of training each. So altogether one individual will be attending 9 days of training. So the output for that proposal was 9 days of training for each individual. And another output was 70 individuals will be trained from that project. So the number of individuals were also specified, as well as the number of days were also specified. So these are basically the direct and short-term results that you usually talk about when we say output results. Now that should be very concrete, to the point, and measurable, specifically measurable. So when we say 70 individuals will be trained, that means 70 individuals. So you can actually measure 70. Now for each program activity, you need to identify what outputs will be there and be specific about the intended audience or the clients. So you need to understand who are your clients, which area is in your focus. Are they some minority group or some certain underprivileged people? Are they children? Are they women? Is there any gender segregation or something? So you need to answer all these points here. Now when we talk about the outcomes, they are usually what we call is specific changes in people's attitudes and behaviors, an increase in their knowledge, and the utilization of certain particular program. So it's an increase or change in their attitude, behavior, skills, knowledge, programs, and utilization. Now, apart from these, you may have some unintended results as well, which you may not note initially, but eventually that will be the effect of that project. So suppose you are training 25 people on violence against gender, and you expect that the attitude and behavior of the 25 people in a particular community will be changed. It may be possible that they train other people and the outcome may be enhanced, and it's not just 25, rather the number can be increased. Also, when other people who are not attending those trainings, they may also see the importance of this project, and they will also realize that these organizations are working towards awareness against violence against women. And they may also start learning about these things. They may also start coming to you and asking questions. So these are some of the unintended outcomes that you may have not thought of initially, but they can be there. Now, most commonly when we talk about the outcome variables, we express them on the individual level. Okay, so the attitude change in 25 individuals, for example, a behavioral change in 50 individuals, for example, right? Now, when we say the outcome variables, it's different from the output in a sense that outputs are most immediate results, whereas the outcomes, as compared to the output, they are more medium-term results, or probably short-term results, rather long-term results. Now, when your outcomes, when it can also be sometimes short-term when it is divided from 1 to 3 years, let's say. So usually we call it a short-term, and when we say that these kind of attitudes will be changed from 4 to 6 years, we call it's a long-term. Okay? Now, it is always recommended that you identify your outcomes first, and then we talk about what are the inputs, what will be the impacts, what sort of activities do we need for achieving those outcomes, and what can be the output. So the outcomes are very important because you actually want to change, to bring some behavioral change, bring some change in the knowledge of a particular community. And that is the purpose that you are proposing your project for. So therefore, outcomes are very important, and it is recommended to decide about the outcomes first, and then you can talk about what are the inputs, what sort of activities, for example, you need to achieve that outcome. And the output is obviously how many people will be involved in that process, and that can be the output, or for how long time that process will be held, that can be the output. So the output, impact, activities, they all can be later on, they can be done once you decide about the outcomes. Now, the outcomes for each of the activity that you decide, there may be one or more outcomes. Okay, so it's not necessary that you said, okay, we will be conducting one activity and there will be only one output or outcome of that activity. So the outcomes can be one or more, but you need to remember that the expected outcomes should be SMART. And when we say SMART, by SMART I mean it should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So you can measure it, you can achieve it. It should be to the point and it's realistic within that time frame that you can achieve and the budget that you are proposing for. So all these things, this is basically a tool to measure whether your outcome is measurable or not. Now in the next slide, there is a small exercise for you that I am going to show you 4 different outcomes, and I'll be asking you to take a couple of minutes and have a look, read them one by one, and let's see if you can find out which outcomes are smart and which outcomes are not that smart. Okay? So the next slide that I'm going to show you, this will be the form of exercise and it's gonna go in the next video. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next video there. Just bear with me for that. Okay, thank you.